Hello, hello! I'm the official name rater. My job is to look through the first page of Google, review the nicknames provided by the internet, and then give my recommendations at the end. As you can see right here, we have covered this video before, but since the video was released 3 years ago, we have a secondary form of Articuno in the Galarian form of Articuno. So we will be redoing this episode covering both Canto and Galar version of Articuno. The link for this video will be in the description, and this video will be set to unlisted. If you want to relive the old version, it's there for you. But in other words, this one will take precedence and be on the playlist from now on. Yeah, I'm glad that it shows that, because I was actually about to Google that. If you want to use its official Japanese name, that's Freezer. That's a terrible name, but I mean, I suppose for a Japanese person, it's exciting in the same way that Mizu is exciting for some English-speaking person. I remember someone one time saying that the Japanese names are objectively better than the English names. Have you read some of the Japanese names? They're pretty terrible. Zapdos is named Thunder. Umbreon is named Blackie. I feel like that one was changed for a very, very good reason. But if you just want to, I don't know, acknowledge the crappy Japanese name, then sure, there's that. Killer Frost is worth acknowledging. That one's DC. I like how that one says One Piece. That's weird that some of them mention things and others don't. Wonder how they do that. Yeah, Killer Frost is DC. I like the name. It sounds nice. I know we've seen it in the past before. I don't One Piece. I don't know if this is any sort of special different Japanese name or if it's just the equivalent to Herman or some shit. Mr. Freeze is objectively better than Freezer. That one's DC, that one's Batman villain. I don't particularly care for the name. It's not really that special. Articuno is genderless, so no one can say, "What about Mrs. Freeze?" What about shutting the fuck up? Here's more anime, you fucking weebs. Why is only the anime being written down as reference material? Furthermore, why does this have it like this, but this down here has to put it in the thing? Who wrote this shit? Captain Cold is another DC one that I think is a Flash bad guy, if I remember right. I only know he exists because of Injustice 2. That one's a fine name, I suppose. Don't really have anything extra to say about it. I'm not going to say that these names are particularly great, but I am going to say that if you wanted to theme them and pair them together, the fucking legendary birds are going to be a very good way of doing that. I want to say in the original episode the Triforce goddesses were mentioned as well, but I think that there's probably better things considering, you know, one of them's yellow. Minty, Spicy, Zesty, I feel like would maybe be better off like on starters or something. I don't know. Because Minty to me feels like, I mean, I suppose cool mint, but I feel like you would think grass. Chili Willy is something I want to say I have. Oh, who did I use it for? I think that's Empoleon. My mind went to Delibird, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't Delibird. But I know it's been talked about for penguin Pokemon such as Delibird, Empoleon, and hopefully I brought it up in the Ice Cube episode. I don't remember. Yeah, Chili Willy's a good one, and I guess... I mean, it doesn't have to be a penguin. You could just use it for an ice Pokemon, but it's going to work better on a penguin. Antarctica, I'm pretty sure we've talked about that in the past before. That's fine. Not really anything extra to say about it. It's interesting, real quick, seeing 2019 there. Didn't know they kept doing this. Alright, fair. This one's I guess you want to go on some Mortal Kombat nerd trivia real quick. It's since been changed thanks to Mortal Kombat 1. But Sub-Zero is a pretty common nickname. We see that often. And the story with Sub-Zero is that the original Sub-Zero is named Bihan. Bihan dies, and then his younger brother Kuai Liang takes over the mantle and becomes the Sub-Zero with the scar across his eye. And he's usually the one you see. Bihan is reborn as Noob Saibot, a Shadow Wraith demon. But in the new timeline, they decided to make Kuai Liang Scorpion, who used to be Hanzo Hasashi. So, yeah, if you want to do that, instead of just doing Sub-Zero as a nickname, there's that idea for you too. I don't think they've ever actually mentioned Frost's real name, thinking about it. Recurring Final Fantasy I summon? Okay, sure. I feel like I know Shiva from something else. I feel like it's a song. Is it a Smashing Pumpkin song? Siva. Close. Frostbite we've seen plenty of times in the past before. Still don't think to this day we have a particular ice bitey Pokemon. One of these days they'll get around to doing that, but That would be my advice. You know what Bird's Eye would be good for? Bird's Eye would be good for like Pelipper because you could do like, isn't that like a brand of like seafood? That would be my idea if you want to do Bird's Eye. I've never seen Bird's Eye before. I mean, apparently I must have, but I never thought about it, and that comes to mind. I don't know why I kind of like Daddy Cool. Popsicle seems like the type of shit my friend Sam would do. Tundra was Kuai Liang's original name in Mortal Kombat 9 before he took on the mantle of Sub-Zero. Ice Maiden, I use Ice Queen for my Frostlass, and since Articuno is genderless, you could do it regardless. Fuck you, no one can stop you, you know. Frozone, I wonder how many of these I put down, just because I'm curious. Like, I used to do that. Anyway, Frozone is Incredible's thing. It's alright, I guess. Ice Queen definitely looks like me right there. Fuck you, don't give it 6 dislikes, you're a bitch. I like Brain Freeze, and it was actually kind of funny, because that was the thing I was literally thinking to myself before I started recording, was Brain Freeze would work real good for Galarian Articuno. Even though it's not technically an ice type anymore, it's still going to always be associated with ice. Whenever I come across this guy, I never expect to find any actual worthwhile nicknames. I look anyway just because maybe he might accidentally trigger something. But these feel more like jokes rather than actual nicknames. And Cool Condor kind of gets me like that. Like, man, you're one cool condor. Like that type of shit. And then you get to Ice Ice Baby, which is just kind of extra funny as well. Because you could use that as a nickname. Would anybody with any self-respect? No, they would not. But you could. Hail Razor's a nice pun. I'd probably put it on somebody else with Snow Warning, though. Oh, right, they got rid of Hail. Ranting real quick, there's no reason they should have gotten rid of Hail and replaced it with Snowscape. All they had to do is just do the Sandstorm treatment if they wanted to make it different. Just put a fucking defense buff on Hail. That was it. You didn't have to change the move. What was the fucking point? I liked Hail. There's a few on here that I'll highlight just because I suppose why not. So Elsa, that one's been talked about many times in the past. Not really extra to say about it. Dairy Queen and McFlurry. If I'm honest, I'm kind of disappointed McFlurry never crossed my mind for the Vanillix episode. I don't think that ever came to mind. I thought about Frosty from Wendy's, but I don't know why I forgot McFlurries existed. I just fucking did. And then Snow White's the only other one I kind of want to acknowledge. Especially if it's a shiny. Denny made a very, very short thing, basically just saying he named his legendary birds after cars. Roadrunner kind of fits Zapdos a little bit better. Anyway, just a reminder that theme nicknames are a thing. I was looking over this episode trying to see what I said at the end, and I mentioned the formula for liquid nitrogen, although the correct formula is N2. So, still, just that idea. I remember that one being a highlight from that episode, and by that I mean I didn't remember. I just looked at it however many minutes ago. 20 minutes ago? There you go. Alright, that's that as far as regular Moltres scroll. However, there is one little thing I want to because this one is number 440, and then this one was the original, so I want to look at this. But before we do that, let's go ahead and look at the spreadsheet, because this is only going to cover Kanto, not Galarian stuff, so it's relevant. Mystic was the thing I didn't see on Pokemon.net. That's really weird. That was the thing I remember being the highlight that I actually remembered, and it was something written down, and it was something I mentioned here, was Mystic was the highlight for that episode. And I agree with it. I don't personally nickname legendaries, but I feel like Mystic, Instinct, and Valor are going to be so synonymous with those birds. Like, it's really weird to think about the fact that Red, Blue, and Yellow feature the starters, and then every game after that does the legendaries. The birds were not the focus of those games, and it's kind of crazy to think about. I think that was the name of the girl in Go. I don't quite remember. I'm Team Instinct, by the way. And then to revisit the old episode and look at the comments, which there admittedly weren't any, the most important one was the fact that somebody told me that, hey, Carbonimal is an ice and fighting type. Because I mentioned the idea that we needed an ice and fighting to make Sub-Zero work. And yeah, we have one. It's just not worthy of being Sub-Zero. This one is Final Fantasy spell, but also kind of makes me think a little bit of Blazetta from Twilight Princess, which I know has been brought up many times in the past before. That would probably be... my mind goes to Avalugg, but I'm like, yeah, but Avalugg not round. It'd be better for Bergmite. Anyway, you could use those for Pokemon, whoever you want. You are a big boy. Or girl. Alright, I'm going to click here, look at this one. We're starting the Galarian Articuno section now. After that, we're going to properly type in Galarian Articuno. But first, let's start this one. You could fit Count Dracula. Maybe not the best choice for an Articuno, but you could. Alright. I don't know why. I just paused right here at this moment and started thinking about Metroid. And I want to say the way you encounter Galarian Articuno, if I remember right, is you kind of see it flying overhead. And that kind of reminded me of something else that's purple that flies overhead in an icy area in Metroid Prime. Ridley is kind of what I have set to Aerodactyl. It's not one I'm willing to die on, but it just kind of came to mind. Do I think it fits Articuno? No, but do I think that similarity is quite interesting? Yes. And also people talk about the fact that it's shiny locked. I hate that too. I really, absolutely adore the fact that the shinies are the original colors. That is like easily some of my favorite shinies. I'm going to acknowledge this one because it kind of reminds me of like when the Paradox Pokemon were coming out and people were like, hey, you know it's a better name than Iron Treads? Tron Fan. And I'm like, it objectively is. Like they could have easily done shit like that if they wanted to, is make different puns off their original names. And honestly, I kind of hate that too. Like, I have a theory that the reason we have certain variants now isn't because they want to make it, but because, and I've heard this is a Did You Know Gaming thing. They were like, we've done this, we have this is similar to that. They're probably redesigning things because they realize this is too similar to that. So rather than making a new Pokemon like Gigalith and having people complain saying it's similar to Golem, or Conkeldurr saying it's similar to Machamp, they're trying to avoid that problem by just redesigning the old Pokemon with this new idea. They're seeing the similarities and just smashing them together. That's my theory, at least. And I don't know, maybe that was kind of how it went for the Galarian legendary birds. Personally, I didn't think they need a form change. I hate the fact that they still retain their names but don't retain their types or the ability to learn those moves. But just in case you want to play off of that, like a Tron fan type thing, honestly, I like Scrapdos and Scratchdos and Sinistress. I don't really care for Saipuno or Telepuno, but if you can think of something like that, Telecuno works a lot better, actually. You can't name a Pokemon, they name themselves. All they say is their stupid, dumb bitch name. Fuck off. You know, it was kind of nice being able to dodge this the first time, but hey, whatever. We're gonna have to take a break from Galarian Articuno to acknowledge this cancer again. It's great because you could actually see it in the old YouTube video at like the start and the end. Ice King is bad, Frostwing is bad, Jack Frost is an actual thing. That one's fine. Maybe probably better on like Galarian Darmanitan if you wanted to use that since Snowman. I don't necessarily think he has to be a snowman. He could be interpreted however you want, but yeah. I think about the film. And then Freeze is uninspired. Uninspired. There it goes. Uninspired. Alright, well that's that. There's nothing to fucking say. There's nothing extra to add. Galarian Articuno, as expected, did not yield many results. But hey, I just do this shit so no one asks me questions later. Hey, could you do this? It's done. They'll probably still ask anyway. We do have comment suggestions, though. And, I understand none of it. But if it appeals to you, maybe you do understand. And this is just stuff we've already talked about. Brain Freeze, which was something I thought up literally beforehand. I guess it's not that hard to come up with. And then the Final Fantasy Elemental Attacks, which he left on the comment for the last video. It's kind of funny because even though I was like, hey, you guys can name the Cantonian Pokemon, absolutely no people nicknamed the Cantonian ones. They only nicknamed the Galarian versions of Pokemon. It's quite great. Anyways, yeah, what was it? It was Mystic was a highlight, Brain Freeze was a highlight, Blizzetta was a highlight. There really wasn't too much. It's weird. I think Articuno's one of the better Pokemon. It's actually kind of funny because my brother and I were talking about competitive, and it's like, you know, Moltres has Ho-Oh for a rival, Zapdos has Thundurus for a rival, but still, there's only 2 ice flying types in the whole series, and that's Articuno and Delibird. And Articuno is objectively the better one. And Articuno is a legendary. No other legendary has that ice flying type combination, meaning it's untouchable even damn near 30 years later. So, I don't nickname legendaries, but if you have any ideas, feel free to distinguish between the Kanto or the Galarian version. Let us know what you'd use, what you'd recommend. Put comments down below. Give a thumbs up to the ones you think are good. I'm not gonna lie, just looking at this stuff, I have a feeling that Zapdos is gonna be the more popular Galarian choice because I've already seen one name quite a few times, and it's probably exactly what you're thinking it is. You'll find out in a couple days what that nickname is. Bye!